Indeed, we seem to be live. Well, hello and welcome. There is one thing that hasn't yet been done today. Probably many things, but the thing I'm referring to is running these credits here. And back to the totally improvised four-way. Hello folks, hello world, hello internet. This of course is MMO Buff, and I am currently playing the role of a very unwell Misper. So I will be pretending to be a person that feels like utter and has had a sense of humour bypass. So I'm going to shut up and leave things to these lovely folks. So say hello, Blank.
Hey folks, what's going on? Viking King here, just hanging out, you know, in my my t-shirt with my brother here. Why don't you introduce yourself, Mr. Parv?
Well, he calls himself my brother, but actually I'm the trendsetter here. I came on the call and I had the wife beater, and he was like, I can't be outvested. No, I haven't got a hat, but I do have sunglasses and I can wear them, and I'll do this.
But Parv, we actually had to work hard to get you to put a top on.
Sometimes it depends. If I'm hot, then like I just take them off. It's like it's fine. It's whatever. I just thrive off entertainment.
I don't personally feel I can comment as to whether you're hot or not, but I can move on to our other host, Trollden.
So, yeah, hi there, guys. I'm Trollden, and I have no idea what's happening here. So welcome.
We'll just pause and let you carry on then, Trollden.
It's like, what do I do?
Okay,
what do I do?
We're going to be running through a few things, as always. We are going to be doing some Heroes of the Storm bits and pieces, and Parv is going to wax eloquently about the up-and-coming changes, the new map, and other stuffs. We're not going to be doing a great deal on all things Hearthstone. Trollden actually has broken the game. We're not supposed to release this secret, but the reason why the Curse of Naxxramas isn't here yet? Just too many funny moments. However, we will be diving with Trollden and Blank into a bit of an extended Warlords of Draenor, and you get to laugh while I miscontrol my character all over the place. But all of that is yet to come. We're going to get things up and running with a little bit of a section on Heroes of the Storm. There we go. It has happened. There are two of us. Now, of course,
there's
anyone
only
else
two.
Could chime in with a voice from the heavens at this point. Well, they might.
I could do.
That's up to them.
They have to agree with me though. They can't supersede my authority.
Parv is always wrong.
I'm always right.
So, Parv,
that means...
what are we going to be right about? What's going on?
We've got like a short segment today, so I really want to focus on the main story today. And the main story is that we've got the new Garden of Terror map. Yep. It's not actually here, but it's been announced and explained, and it's pretty cool.
So I hear Garden of Terror, and I'm thinking someone wants me to mow the grass, they want me to pull the weeds, the fence needs painting.
Well, actually, it actually involves a new peripheral. It's actually a USB lawnmower, and you have to go out and mow the lawn at periodic times during the match.
What if it's raining?
Then you have to do it in the rain. In fact, it will actually rain in game. It has a rain detector on the lawnmower, and it will. But actually, no, really. Well, okay. So this map, it has 3 lanes, and it has an interesting mechanic which you will find in a lot of other MOBAs, and that is night and day. Most classically, you'll find that in Dota 2, and it's actually quite similar in some respects. So usually, night and day mechanic is during the day you have longer vision than at night. Yeah, and that's something they are implementing in this game. Okay. So, I think it's about 30 seconds in, or maybe 40 seconds in. Looking at someone's data mined some of the patch notes. It's going to be fairly short cycles anyway. So the idea is that it turns nighttime after, let's just say a minute for argument's sake, and then a load of nasty creeps spawn. Basically, all the monsters come out at night. There's a few more mechanics involved with those, but basically, in order to end night and get day vision back, you have to kill all the new creeps. So all the jungle creeps will actually disappear from day, and these are the I assume harder creeps will appear at night.
Okay, so these zombies then, it's not a case of day takes X amount of time, night takes X amount of time.
No, day takes X amount of time. Day takes X amount of time. Night lasts as long as there are zombies in the So you could have one day cycle and a whole game in night if you want, if both teams wanted to keep it at night, if they don't want to kill them all. Now, it is speculated in the developer interview that ganking teams will want to keep it night as long as possible.
Yeah,
the reason being the players are more vulnerable when they can't see.
Yeah.
So you can transition between lanes far easier and without being seen, get a jump on people. More vulnerable teams or teams that want to say like 5-man or whatever, they're probably going to want to keep it daytime just so there's less pickoffs.
Now, that's a little unusual. Just some, and I have not played through this experience of day-night cycle in the MOBA, so I could be way off base here. But it strikes me that it's a map type that could give certain team compositions a decent advantage, whilst not necessarily flipping that advantage back when you're on the other side of the day-night cycle. So
I think picks will be more situational.
Okay, but if you don't know the map making your pick, as is currently the case, and this could all change by the time we get to live, of course, you could be going in there, you set up a ganking team, you capitalise on it being night by not killing the zombies, it takes the other team a long time to do stuff, you get extra kills in because of reduced vision, then it goes to day. You just go la-di-da-di-da-di-da, I'll farm creeps because day will end in a set amount of time. Right, great, we're back to night again. It seems odd to me that one of them's on a timer, one of them gets triggered.
Well, I think the idea is that there will be, it's ad variance, so like both teams might decide they're better off staying at night, or both teams might decide they don't want, say if you have two ganky lineups, both teams might think it's, oh fuck it, we'll just end the night cycle, let's just collect. Now, yes, there is an element of like, picking is going to be important, but picking is always important in these MOBA games because there are always heroes that can counter. If you've got good counter initiation and they've got a big initiator team, then that's great. You know, you want to pick that against that. Currently, in the alpha system at the moment, you just pick and it kind of creates a balanced team with some algorithm and then you go. But I do think if Blizzard are probably going to implement some sort of drafting process with bans and picks because it's in almost every other MOBA with a pro scene.
Yeah.
If you look at Smite, Heroes of New Earth, Dota 2, League of Legends, they all have pick and ban systems, and I don't think that they're going to do anything different with that because it's a big part of the meta game, and again, it adds a richness to meta.
Talking about pro scene and the meta and all this stuff, I mean, obviously it makes a lot of sense. Who are you picking for this map? Who's going off against who? You look at the StarCraft scene as something I can look at to compare. You're playing on a sequence of maps, and you are actually vetoing a map, and you're playing a best of 5, and you've got a map sequence.
Yes,
Does
they may also
map sequence
do that.
Stuff happen elsewhere?
Well, most MOBAs don't do multiple maps.
Okay.
So it depends. Dominion was an attempt made by League of Legends and Riot, but it didn't really catch on. Still, the classic 3-lane Dota 2 style map is the one that is favoured for professional play. So it could be a thing as well. They do that. What you find in StarCraft is that, for instance, I know in the original StarCraft 2, Wings of Liberty, like Season 1 and 2, Metalopolis was a map that was considered to be like kind of one that every race wanted to play, so it was almost always picked. And then other maps, not so much. Like some had better maneuverability for flying units, and then you'd have like, you know, Zergs prefer it, or if it had an easy double expand, then like a Zerg might prefer that, for instance, or if it had a really good choke point, Terran would like it. You'll get the same thing with these maps as well. Like, especially between things. I think between having 3 and 2 lanes is going to be a big thing, because if you pick 2-lane maps, gankers suddenly become a lot weaker because they have to jump. Like they tend to be fragile and bursty. Yeah. And they have to jump into larger concentrations of heroes.
Okay.
So that'll be a thing. There is another thing.
If then, from a mentality perspective, and this is something maybe I'd like to see, is that you make your team comp selection, and then you make your map comp selection, but you have to take that one team through all of the maps. That, to me, would add something else to it straight away.
That is something they may well do. That is something they may well do. And like, I think tournaments, you know, Blizzard will run tournaments different ways, and they'll work out what they want to do. That's what they do. But they have experience running pro scenes with StarCraft 2, so I'm sure that they have a plan for it. The other mechanic in it is that you can pick up these seeds. Now, you get the seeds from killing these zombies in the actual in the jungle during the night cycle, and if you collect enough seeds, you can then get a buff from your well area, and that is called. It is called, after collecting 100 seeds, any player can right-click on the fertile soil inside their base to summon the almighty garden terror. It's basically a buff. It gives you powers to your advantage.
We shall have to.
Um,
And I'm assuming this is going to be something like the creature you get on the Haunted Mines map, where you go down, kill the thing, collect the skulls.
No, it will actually be more like the dragon buff,
Okay.
because it'll be player controlled,
Okay.
whereas Haunted Mine is not player controlled. But it is, the night cycle is like the Haunted Mines, and you have to go and collect the skulls. This will be you have to go collect the seeds in the jungle. So there will be a big payoff, especially if you've got good jungle heroes, to go and just kill as many of these camps, collect all the seeds, and do that. So the idea is that if you can get out the night cycle, you can end the night cycle and have a big sort of like push with this buff as well and take team fights. So there'll be a strong reason to pick good team fight heroes, a strong reason to pick mobile heroes as well, because you want heroes that can get around the jungle and kill things fast or respond to things. There's also it was also mentioned in the interview, heroes that give vision as well, also very useful, because in times when you don't have a lot of map vision actually wins games. That's one of the most important things. If you can be aware of where players are.
Vision wins game at higher levels. Maybe not so much at the lower levels of play, because people aren't responding to or utilizing that vision.
Okay. Map vision wins levels from anything above a beginner level, I'd say. Like, as soon as people because people, okay, most beginners can count to 5, yeah? So they're going to know if there's a hero is missing or not if they look at their map. As soon as, like, absolute beginners, like, yeah, okay, they're not looking at the map very much, but as soon as you're beyond into that intermediate stage, you, like, looking at the map is the main thing. That's one, map awareness and farming efficiency that will then carry you to advanced play, probably. So that's the way to look at it. By having heroes that can spot where the heroes are, you can know what you can and can't get away with it, and then you can play efficiently and maximize.
So the horror that you can control on this map, and this is probably going to get into the realms of speculation, gives vision, great. Is this going to be something which is then used in team fights against players? Is this going to be now we're going to knock stuff over, take out those forts and towers?
I'm not entirely sure. The Garden Terror doesn't give vision. I'm saying other heroes that give vision will be drafted in, because they will be able to help other players survive the night cycles from heroes that are trying to gank them, essentially, and pounce them.
Just we've got some new people here asking questions I can see in the channel, so hello to you, Jay Moore and Posjo and others. A quick summary, where does HOTS sit? It's Blizzard's MOBA. Where does it sit in MOBA land?
It's incredibly easy access. I'd say, if like, okay, so you've got like on the far right is the most hardcore, on the far left you have the most sort of like sort of newbie proof. Yeah, accessible. I'd say it's like here.
Okay.
If the middle is like, the middle would be like League of Legends, and the right would be like Here's a New Earth probably, or something like that. It is a very accessible MOBA, just as like say Hearthstone is a very accessible card game compared to something like Magic the Gathering. Blizzard definitely know what their target market is.
And that's not to say there isn't necessarily depth, team play, skill, these things as the game progresses through levels.
There's depth to every game.
Yeah, some people equate accessibility and casual, therefore there's no skill. And I'd be quite quick to refute that, having seen some skillful players.
I think the main thing about there's always a trade-off. Once you make a game more accessible, you do reduce the skill ceiling. Yeah. Because what you're essentially doing is you're creating less chances for someone to completely fuck their game up. That is how you make a game more accessible, is you make it more forgiving. And if a game is more forgiving, then other players can't capitalize on you as hard because you're not punishing them as hard. It's pretty fundamental. There maybe there are ways around it, but that's just the way I see it. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, though. I think there's a lot of people that cannot be bothered putting 2,000 hours into Dota 2. You know?
Or don't have 2,000 hours to put into Dota 2.
Exactly. And League of Legends was kind of filling that void, but again, League of Legends isn't like, super easy. I mean, like if you talk to the hardcore MOBA players, yeah, it's super easy, but it's still not that easy. Like concepts like last hitting and different builds and things like that, it's still difficult, Okay. And you have to do your runes and your masteries. This is a game that you don't have to theory craft in to be able to play reasonably efficiently, because you only have a choice of 4 talents and they're all pretty good. You can think about it and pick synergistic ones, and there is some depth to that as well. There are builds within this. You can build heroes differently, but it's not going to be, you're not going to be. I can think of scenarios where you just completely level a hero wrong in other MOBAs, and you are like 10% as useful as you could be.
Okay, the gap's that big.
yeah, I think you could probably be 70% as useful as you could be in
Right.
in Heroes of the Storm. That was something actually a player called Purge, who when he played it, he's a big Dota 2 YouTuber, said about the game was that it says that the main problem for him is that he predicted that the game will become too solvable, because when a patch comes out, you'll be able to say, well, because we only have, say, 5 factors to take account for, we can quite actually easily theory craft the most efficient builds for each hero. It's always a danger, but I'm a bit skeptical of it as well, though, because there are still multiple factors between interactions.
What other people have selected.
Exactly. It will be a case of like, oh, I could do this like massive stun combo that I could like level into, but if you've got a hero that can capitalize well on a stun combo, then great. But if not, then it's not the most efficient thing on its own. So there is this thing, but there was. The less factors are, the more very craftable a game is to be solved.
Okay. Now, Rating Hyperion's asking the question, is HOT still invite-only keys? Oh, invite keys only, to use his wording, or is it open to the public yet? So I can answer that one. It's not yet fully open to the public. There is another wave of invites just around the proverbial corner, but as of today, there are no keys for it. You can't have a key path.
Oh no.
But what they can do is they can flag your account if you're in. So if someone says to you, you're in the game, don't go clicking on links, don't go trading your mother's mother for a key, or anything of that nature. What you want to do is go onto your account page, log in yourself, and you'll have a look, you'll see the game there. Or, even better, just fire up the Battle.net launcher, and if you're in, 95 times out of 100 it will just appear there. There is a very small number of cases of people where it hasn't appeared in the Blizzard launcher, so if you think you should be in, go check your account page. So there we go.
By the way, can I add something?
We can. It's the voice from the sky. Hang on. Carry on.
Is there gonna be some awesome transition, or should I just talk? Because you've mentioned a few things which I can answer.
We can. I tell you what I can do. I can do an awesome transition. Here we go. Here's an awesome transition.
Oh my god! Let me get the camera. So.
And we'll come back to a forward screen like this.
Is it back? Is it back? Oh my god!
Is it back yet?
So excited.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so basically we're talking about vision on the new map, and there is a mini map for that thing, and there are no watchtowers, which is pretty interesting. If this map is not gonna have watchtowers, characters like Tassadar are gonna have a huge advantage because they can scout the map with their passive ability. Well, it's not passive, but it's on D, so you can just reveal the area on the map, which is gonna be really useful, especially at night. This is the first thing I want to say. The second thing is about Golem and abilities. It's gonna have 2 abilities. One of them is Mass Polymorph, which is called Spore Queen's Curse, and it transforms enemies around probably into weak plant zombies. And the second ability is called Plant Horror Overgrowth, and it like puts a plan, and it disables all enemy buildings and damages them. But this plant can be destroyed by the enemies, so it's like you should be careful where you plant it, because you can get incredible value out of it. So yeah.
Okay. So how giving those abilities, Parv, Troll, Blank, etc., how do you see this horror being used? Is there a clear cut, when you get the horror, you do this? Or is there we'll just have to wait and see what people actually start doing with it?
Well, as far as Mass Polymorph goes, that's a massive team fight advantage. So I think you would generally just see people put the plant at the back of the fight and polymorph and wombo combo as many players down as possible. I don't think there's many other ways you could look at that. Okay. Maybe there are. I will say that I'm looking at the design insights right now, and it does seem that there are towers on the map. Is it confirmed that there aren't going to be towers, Jordan? Or is that a maybe?
Watchtowers. Towers are gonna be the.
Oh, okay. You mean watchtowers?
Watchtowers where you get the vision.
Yes, of course, the vision towers. It would be cool to see. Like, they obviously don't want to have warding in the game, but warding is a really cool aspect.
I don't think that warding is really a cool aspect, because for example, in MOBAs like League of Legends, where I've played for I have more than 3K games played, I think. when I play support, I have to buy wards, and this is not fun gameplay for me. When in Heroes, I have watchtowers that I have to fight for. So
Yeah.
fighting for watchtowers is much more fun than just placing wards. And I'm gonna place a ward. Okay, you placed a ward. I'm gonna place a pink ward to see your ward and destroy it. Oh, you placed a pink ward, so I'm gonna destroy your ward. This is like what's happening in League of Legends, and this is what I was also wanting to add. I think the huge advantage of Heroes is that it's gonna be an awesome game to watch. Because when you watch games like Dota 2 or League of Legends, sometimes they have like 20 minutes intervals where nothing happens. Everyone just farms and walks around, and it's incredibly boring. With a game where you get 3 skills at the beginning, and you can make the team fights happen, it's going to be incredibly intense and interesting to watch. And this is why I think this game has a huge potential in the esports scene. Like, people often don't care about how competitive the game is. They care about, like, this game can be competitive, by the way. I'm not saying it cannot be. They want to have fun. They want to be they want to feel this intensity that something's happening, and Heroes is going to give them that. So I think
a couple of points. One, I agree with your criticism that the league has gaps where people just farm, especially in the Asian scene. They tend to farm a lot harder. I will say that in order to make a game more sort of exciting, several changes were made in Dota 2, which are also mimicked in Heroes of the Storm. One of which is that they actually decreased the size of the map by about 30%. Between Dota 1 and Dota 2, and that was to squish all the lanes together, make everyone sort of in a close vicinity to each other. Secondly, as well, something that Heroes doesn't employ, but Dota 2 does, and I think they should probably employ it in Heroes if they really want to go that way, is that they should make Tier 1 spells more powerful. Because even though you only have one spell at level 1 in Dota 2, some people can knock half a person's health off of that one spell. You get very, very early kills, and it does encourage players to sort of do sneaky things at the beginning, 5-man ganks, things like that.
But Blank, I mean, part of the thing we're doing here, obviously, with Heroes is trying to make it accessible. Now, if you've got such a fast-paced start to the game, are players that aren't used to it going to come in and quickly go, I'm 1 minute in, I'm already behind, I'll quit out?
Well,
is that a
the way I
threat,
look at
danger?
the way I look at
excuse me. Yeah.
go ahead, Charles.
I just wanted to say that one thing that no one seems to know about is that, like, that the game is built on StarCraft 2 engine, and they have input delay 200, like latency, forced latency in the game. So basically, when you play, you can say that you have 200 latency. Imagine having that in League of Legends, for example. I'm not sure if they're going to remove that.
Is
but
that
that's
still
definitely
enforced now today, or is that a statement based
Yes.
on the
Yes.
Yeah, it exists in Dota 2 as well.
Okay.
It is in Dota 2 as well, but it's not as hard in Dota 2. I think it's like around.
It's 150 MS in Dota 2. But the
Here,
reason for that
here.
is, the reason it was implemented in Dota 2 was because when they first built the game, they wanted to mimic Dota 1 as hard as possible, and the Warcraft 3 engine had that. It was built in, and the reason it was built in was because people were using 56k modems and stuff. They were trying to mask high delays by making the game less responsive. One of the offshoots, one of the byproducts of making a game slightly more, reducing the pace of the game in that regard, is that it makes spellcasting more deliberate. And that actually allows for a bit more of a skill gap, so players can actually, because here's a New Earth. What the team fights, everyone just blew all their spells instantly. It was just like a cluster of bang, bang, bang. It's just like watching a fireworks show, and it kind of removes the skill in a bit because everyone just fires everything. There's no sort of deliberateness to things. However, in Dota 2, it's like, right, I actually have to think about how to hit the skill shot. I can't just throw it out because it's gonna be a delay.
That's definitely the same thing for Heroes. I mean, after playing League for so long, it's much harder for me to actually land skill shots in Heroes of the Storm. Especially Nova, for example. She has this really thin skill shot, which is really fast. And when I was trying Nova out, it was really hard to land that one because there's a delay and it's really fast. So if you you should think with the 200 ms delay in your head, which takes skill, I would say.
Yeah, it's like having the different spreads in Counter-Strike or something like that. Every gun is different. Every hero's animation is different. The latency adds to that. It means players have to understand how the hero works to be deliberate with them.
Yeah, by the way, there is also a turn rate in Heroes of the Storm, which isn't in League of Legends and is in Dota. For example, heroes like Stitches and
I hate
Zeratul. And
You hate it?
I hate. People ask me why I don't play Dota. Sorry to interrupt you, Trolden. And that's one of the things. That turn rate. It is an absolute design choice that they make. Some people really love it, but for me, I don't want to have to calculate that microsecond, however many, plus lag, plus latency to the server when I'm playing something like Ezreal in League of Legends, when I'm literally everything is a skill shot, out, out, out. Not every game has that, but it's frustrating because I'll go play Dota and I'll be like, and crap, I'm off. I'm off by literally a quarter of a second every time. So I miss that denier. I miss that. So if you're not used to it, it's a struggle, and that's why I actually find that to be a barrier to entry for some people. When you have that little bit and you're trying to teach that to somebody, you want to get a last hit. How am I supposed to get a last hit? We have to stand right there and you have to wait for it. Well, I can't stand here. That guy keeps hitting me. You know what I mean? So.
I guess so. I mean, the League of Legends took the route of like, okay, we're going to make farming a bit funner. We're going to make lane control a little bit more chaotic by giving people less choice. They can't deny. They can't pull back the lane using jungle creeps, things like that. But I mean, I don't think you should necessarily feel like it's a bad thing, because having turn rate really allows you to have this extra sort of balancing mechanic. There are some heroes, like for instance, Mirana is a ranged hero in Dota 2 with a very high attack damage for a ranged hero. Most ranged heroes have lower attack damage to give them to balance them in the lane, and that's also true in heroes as well. But she has the slowest turn rate in the game, and the reason is because if she's going to stand in a trade, she can't turn around and run very easily.
Right.
And that's how you balance her. You make her turn rate shit. There's also heroes like Batrider who he puts tar on players and it reduces their turn rate, so they can't turn around. And then when you have a hero like similar to Stitches, Pudge, then when he wants to turn to throw his hook, he can't do it as fast. So then he becomes less responsive. So it's another mechanic to sort of like make the game a bit more rich.
Okay.
It's not just necessarily
so
this
you'd
thing that gets
agree?
in the way.
It's not getting in the way. It's just another what I consider a barrier to entry. When you're talking, not us, but when you talk brand new people and you explain, I would give somebody heroes because they can just sit there and watch. Or like League of Legends, where it's like, dude, your job is just to heal me. Play Tarek, stun him if he comes over here, and just sit. You know what I mean? And you can explain to them, look, I'm at a last hit. I know that if I walk around and I hit my ass button. But that buried entry, I've seen it for a lot of people, because they're like, well, this is stupid, this is hard, why do they have this in the game? And they'll get frustrated because it's another skill ceiling that's put in there on purpose to make the game not just more difficult, but more fun for those who are able to calculate that into the way that they play.
Yeah, that's but you go, Tron.
Yeah, basically what I want to say that not all heroes in HOTS have turn rate. For example, as far as Zeratul almost doesn't have it. It's like instant, I think.
So it's just low.
It's
you mean
it's either
it's very fast,
super low, or it's not there at all. I'm not sure because there is a latency, and I cannot tell if that's the latency thing or just the turn rate being really fast, or it doesn't exist. I'm not sure. For example, Avatar, he has his turn rate, it takes 1 second, I think, for him to turn. Same for Surgeon Hammer, for example.
But those are heroes that are bad when they're caught out, so they've done that to make it punishing.
Yeah, Hammer especially. It's like 1 second to turn. But heroes like Stitches, where he has to turn and throw the hook, he doesn't have the turn rate at all, almost. I think so. My friend was telling me today that he was playing Stitches and he didn't have turn rate, and it felt really weird after playing all those heroes with the turn rate.
Okay.
So
now
there are heroes for you.
Now you either just got a yippee-ki-yay blank and path due to your sleeveless tops, as they're being referred to in the chat, or there was a yippee-ki-yay to do with buffering. I'm not sure which one actually won the yippee-ki-yay. You're going to have to speak to Silico there to find out. Clearly, I think the buffering got the yippee-ki-yay. I doubt it was you two in your tank tops. But I'd like to do just a quick 1 minute on a new character we all believe we have coming up in HOTS. and then we're going to have another one of those awesome transition-y things, and we're going to start talking about Warlords of Draenor. So, we have a new character coming up in HOTS. Parv, tell us about it.
Do we? It's not on the list.
Don't know. Oh, we
Does
don't.
someone else have it?
Scratch that, and there's no longer a new character coming up in HOTS because it's not on Parv's list. Sorry, Blizzard, you're now not
It's not
allowed
on-
to implement
Well,
it.
no, I'll talk
until
about it.
It's actually on Parv's list.
Hold on, wait, I've got...
I can talk about that if you need. Like. I know
Okay,
some
go ahead,
info.
Trollden, go ahead.
Okay. So basically, there was PAX East, and they've announced 3 heroes. It was Kel'Thas, the Sunstrider, Sylvanas, and the like with Brewmaster, the panda. I forgot the name. What was
Chen.
his name? Chen Stormstout, right? So yeah, and recently there was a Zagara trailer, Zagara release, and and in the trailer you could see Anu Barak. It's one of the crit lords from Warcraft 3 and World of Warcraft. And people speculate that this is going to be the next hero because it was teased that way in the trailer. And then next week they're saying that they're going to announce a new hero, and you can see Anu Barak on the poster.
Yeah.
So it's like it's going to be there probably. But there is also another thing. When they revealed the new map today, they had weird tags there. They had Heroes of the Storm tag, Designer Insight tag, Rhaegar of Fury tag. And that is like one of the shamans from World of Warcraft, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
And that hero was also data mine. So it can be that one. So we're not particularly sure which one that's going to be. My bet is that it's going to be Anu Barak. But it can be Rhaegar. Who knows?
Wait and see. And of course,
I think this is the Blizzard police. I'm just leaking the info, and they're coming for me.
Well, don't worry. We can throw another transition while they drag you out of the building, so that's all okay. In terms of then, what does it mean? I mean, you say Anu Barak, I'm straight away thinking Anubra Khan. I'm going back to raiding and thinking of what that little beastie crypt lordy thing did. I mean, is there any point in speculating as to how they might affect the play or what they might be like?
I think so. Like, we had a hero in Dota 1, in Dota 2, and it can be something similar to those heroes. Like, there are gonna be spikes, some underground things that gonna damage you, I think. So we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe there's gonna be like charge where you burrow underground and then attack.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, there's got to be the
Something
line
like
of
that.
spikes coming straight out.
Yeah,
There's
that's
got to be
like
the charge and the comeback up. And there's almost
Yeah.
certainly got to be a web type stun.
and there's gonna be like this skill where something flies around and damages people, like life
Special's
steals
probably
them,
Locust Swarm.
like something like that. Like there was a raid in World of Warcraft, which is a Trial of the Crusader,
Yeah, final boss.
and there is
Trial of the Crusade- well,
and the
penultimate
last boss in Ubarak. Yeah, and the last boss in Ubarak, one of his like iconic abilities is where he at 30% of health starts draining everyone and takes the health. So I think we might see something similar, because one of the things that Blizzard said that why are you Blizzard releasing Lily and all of those heroes? Like who the hell cares about Lily? Why don't you release WoW? So basically they said that when you release Lily, it's pretty easy to make the character. But when you release someone like Thrall, you have to think, because he had different abilities over the course of time. You have to choose the abilities. You have to make them iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if they want to make someone like Anu Barak, you have to make him iconic. So he's probably going to have one of those skills.
Okay. All sounds good. Would anyone like to throw any comments in on our favourite new Crypt Lord, or are we going to cut to another transition?
No comment.
No comment.
Well, please-
And people commenting about the laughter. Unfortunately, it seems that the captive slave that we have chained up here in MMOBuff Studios that was supposed to fill in Parv's show notes actually forgot to fill in something critical on Parv's show notes. So we're currently planning to do things with sort of pokers and burning iron and stuff like that. And basically, Parv was writing out the list of things he wanted to do to the person that didn't actually pre-populate his show notes correctly.
Reek is in big trouble. I'm going to chop his willy off.
I would just like to say that is probably not one of the new abilities coming up on the new hero.
The Dick Ripper. That's what it's
Let's
called.
not go there. Thank you. Right. On that note, I'm going to run a transition.
At least it's not the Lorena Bobbitt.
All I can do now is run another transition, wait for the studio to stop laughing, and we're back. And I tell you what, because he can't keep a straight face, we might just have to go straight to blank.
Hey folks, how's it going? Today we're going to be talking about all sorts of Warlords of Draenor. Welcome to the show. First thing we got here for you is it's going to be a link about just Warlords of Draenor. They just had a big patch that happened a couple of days ago. And the first actual link I have for you, I'm sorry, is some of the image updates that came from PC Gamer. I'll be linking this in chat right here for you. You can see the Draenei. Little bit of a update, facelift, if you will. I'm trying to find mine. Not so much game-changing or game-breaking changes to it, but just a nice little additions. You know, those worry lines, those little cracks on their forehead have been added up here. So in that link, you can kind of check it out. It gives a little bit more detail and gives a little bit more immersion to the character. It's not just a straight palette of color with a little bit of hue changes, but there's actual detail that's been put in there. And when you're able to actually put that into the game and be able to walk around with it, it makes it nice. But also, hopefully, we'll see that translated into the armor when it comes out. So that was the male. We'd seen the female earlier. So I wanted to link that to you folks.
We're going to add some epic background music as well for you here. I don't know if this is coming through on your...
No.
It's not. Okay.
Oh,
maybe it is to the channel, maybe it's not. There should be subtle mood music going on.
What do you guys think about new Draenei model, by the way?
Music is
that,
confirmed.
Music is a
the
thing.
face tentacles look really weird. Like how they
They're
attach to the
they're
face.
face tentacles. They are
You just
going
call
to
them
look weird. How can face
face-
tentacles not be weird?
Yeah, I would like I too also challenge you to explain to me how face tentacles are supposed to look, you know, natural. Could you please?
Like, okay, look at the picture. So when you look at his face, he has this tentacle.
Okay, this I have to see. We're now going to get an explanation, folks, as to why face tentacles are normal and natural. Take it away, Trollden face tentacle Hearthstone.
I watched enough anime to know where this is going.
Wow.
So the tentacles attach to the face, and they have rings on it, but the place where they attach to the face, the rings look like they're a part of the face, which they shouldn't be.
Okay.
It looks like it's not part of the face. It's like someone took a glue and attached them to the face.
Okay.
We'll have to see.
This is what
one thing
I'm
to
saying.
note, and we've seen it already. If you follow the art column, I'm trying to think of what it's actually called on the Blizzard site.
Tentacle art
No, it's not
on
called
that
tentacle art.
on that subreddit.
That's something very, very different. Please be careful what you type, folks and folkettes. MMOBuff would like to disavow itself from all responsibility to your incorrect typing in browser toolbars. However,
We're doing a giveaway. The tentacle shower adapter things. You can put on all the jets on each.
back to topic. If you actually follow the stream that the artist has and the column where they talk about art, they've been releasing the models over time. And a couple of times we've seen that they've given us a release of a model, then there's been yet another release. So quite often what we're looking at is interim. And I wouldn't even say today the stuff we're seeing when I was running around in the alpha, still an alpha, the other night, it by no means is final art. And that probably goes for your tentacles as well, Trollum.
It's beta.
Listen, let me throw this out there. What basically all you've seen is high res. We're gonna have a legitimate conversation. You know, I've spoken to a lot of art developers. All they've done is they've increased the high resolution. They have more polygons to work with, so they're able to give more depth to the character. When it comes, the problem with that though is you're used to looking at just kind of floppy tentacles, just kind of hanging out. And I'm trying to keep this as serious as possible. The old one's just kind of chilled there, and because it wasn't as high definition and there was less polygons, it was not that to your mind. It wasn't that difficult to look at. Now it looks out of place because it literally looks like they got attached there. No, more than likely, what they're going to do is they're going to use their color palettes and stuff to soften those edges so it looks more natural, as if they're organically part of their chin and face. But they were probably just looking to push that stuff out so people could look at it and be like, wow, this is really cool. I'm sure everybody complained about the tentacles because it's, you know, the stages that they're in. But yep, that took everything in me just so everybody knows to not make a joke. That was probably one of the hardest things I've done on a podcast yet.
I was trying to keep quiet. I was just like, I'm going to look at my Coca-Cola and then I won't say anything more about the shower adapters.
So much potential. But moving on to the next
have
bit of news.
Yeah, what I do need is from the producer in the background. Can you let me know how much time we have so I can adjust to the last two things we have. Folks, we're going to talk a little bit about garrisons, why they're a big step forward for Blizzard, and we're also going to talk about the stat squish. With their big patch notes that came out, there was a lot to go over. We only have so much time, and I kind of want to get these to you. Awesome. So the first thing we're going to talk about, actually I'll just give you this quick link, is from Wowhead, and I will also be setting you guys up with the patch notes. The patch notes are what is really important here. Within the patch notes, what you're going to see is all of the changes that they've discussed actually being implemented. So if you have been playing, you're seeing a lot of things changing. Now, I'm going to go to my big list here. What they did is they added the new rows of talents for level 100, but for testing, they threw them back at level 90. So at level 90, you're going to be able to mess with these talents, even though you're not there yet. Again, I'd like to sit down at one point and get into the stats about why it's such a big deal that they squished them and the point of it. But what you really need to know is they balance the functionality of things like agility, strength, and intellect. A lot of the secondary stats that Blizzard had were there and were not only redundant, but they weren't as much fun. So things like agility, the secondary stat to that was an additional crit chance. But then balancing additional crit chance with the actual crit stat, it became, difficult. When you're also balancing things like mastery, haste, and critical strike, along with 2-hit. Hit and expertise have now been removed. All players now have a 100% chance to hit, 0% chance to be dodged. I believe it's, let me check, 3% chance to be parried, with 0% chance to glance. Now, this means that things are going to be a lot easier at the base level to be able to put together on your gear. Gemming and enchanting, your items is no longer going to be get out a spreadsheet, am I at this percentage, am I at that percentage. They have made it at least a little bit more, I don't want to say they dumbed it down, but they made it so that it wasn't an entire meta game inside of itself to be able to go and raid.
The problem
go
was
and do something.
The metagame for gearing, though, just became a go to Dr. Robot, go to website of choice, go to something here. And you simply had the category those that went and used an automated tool and those that didn't. And unfortunately, that totally removed skill from the equation. There was a time back in the day, and I'll get my Zimmer frame out, where you had to get the spreadsheet out next to the Zimmer frame to calculate everything and do it yourself. And it was part of your own skill ceiling for raiding, how well do you know your stuff, your stat priorities, your return on all these stats. Yep. It's got to the level of automation with tools, there's almost no point having that.
Yep. And not only that, it became, instead of the fun part of min-maxing, messing things around, you you wouldn't be able to do certain things because you didn't have the actual stats. And again, trying to explain this to somebody who's even well versed in an MMO, like, hey man, you need to have this percentage of this percentage of that. You have to balance all of these on your items and then in your slots and in your gear. I mean, that's a lot of stuff. I mean, I went to school for marketing. I didn't go to school for friggin' algebra, man. Like, you want me to set up an Excel spreadsheet just to go raid? This is silly. So again, what you really need to know and take away from this is dual wielding. All players now have the 100% chance to hit.
Yep.
Some people are like, what about dual wielding? Still imposes a 19, and I don't know where 19 comes from, chance to miss. It's balanced with two-hand weapon use. Now, the important part here, hidden expertise bonuses on all items and item enchantments, so gems, enchants, they've been converted to critical strike, haste, and mastery. What'll be interesting to me, because I'm not huge onto numbers, I do a fair bit of spreadsheeting, is where are those going to prioritize? Because once you take out certain parts of your equation, the other things are going to be just as important. So they streamlined, the last part here is streamlining the multiple various types of haste and critical strike. So spell haste, melee haste, ranged has all been merged into haste percentage. It is just a flat thing. Itemization must have been interesting for certain characters, but we'll see how that works out. Spell crit, melee crit, and ranged are all into universal crit strike. So haste and crit strike. Now what'll be interesting is my base assumption is critical strike then becomes critical strike and haste become those big variables. Critical strike is that exponential bigger number. So it will be interesting to see what they've done with that, because most folks, when you throw those numbers in, critical strike is that 2 times bonus or more, if you will.
I mean, crit
Why
strike
would you not?
has always been a fun stat because you see bigger numbers on your screen when you crit. It's not.
Everybody likes big crits.
But it's, we all like big crits, fine, but they're not always the right thing to chase after. There's plenty of examples where eschewing those fancy big crits actually means you do more damage overall. So it's, again, interesting to see whether or not crit strike is really a number you can start to chase after if you're trying to be really efficient.
It will be interesting. Like I said, I wanted to just talk about it briefly. It is something that we will talk about in detail when we start seeing. Like I said, I'm not a spreadsheet guru at all, but once some people start really getting into it, we'll be able to really look at where things are going, and if they may have made the barrier or that entry easier by taking out, hit and expertise, but did they create an entire other monster where now, people aren't wearing plate, they're wearing leather because they have more haste on it, and that gives them more damage. That's always a very interesting balance. So
I doubt you'll see people switch down. I don't know your thoughts, Tron and Path. You'll see people switch down an armor type because obviously you get the innate bonuses. If I think back and I say, well, yeah, Hunter, I switch out, I wear medium, I wear everything of the right sort, I get an innate bonus. I'm sure there were same things with high armor classes. So there's going to be a loss if you switch out of your core armor type as opposed to just stats. Now, there's two things. There's a bit of a conversation going on about numbers, so what I'm going to throw out there is this. This one has already been given away, but I have others. If we get 100 more people in this channel before the end of this show, I'm going to give that away. Not this particular piece of cardboard.
Is it a piece of paper?
So it's a box?
Yeah. But I'm going to give away the code that's inside the box. Or inside...
So we don't get the box?
That box... No, I'm going to give the code away that's inside the box.
Can I have the box?
You can come here and collect the box, yes.
Can you send me the box?
No, you can come here and collect the box. It's a new show. It's called Path Walks. And we document Paths walking from place A to the MMOBuff studios. It's a thing.
Oh, man. That'd be good. We could do like a time lapse.
You want a tangent? I'm going to give you the best tangent ever. That's actually where Twitch TV came from. Justin TV started with Justin walking around doing his own, I don't remember what the name of the movie was, but he decided, I'm going to wear this camera on my head all day and stream my life, and nobody like really dug it. Then they did Justin TV, and it didn't really go anywhere, and they're like, oh, well, we should do this for gamers, and then the whole world blew up, and they tried to sell it for $1 billion. You never know what silly thing is going to turn into $1 billion. So
what actually happened with that? Did they get sold in the end? Or
I don't think so. I haven't heard anything yet.
No,
We're
nothing-
not,
nothing yet confirmed anyway.
we're not Google Soft TV. You know, when we
Oh.
when the name changes, it'll be interesting.
Now,
I have something to say.
now while you're saying that, Trollden,
That's nice for you.
This is really exciting, like really.
Go for it. Go for it.
So it happened like 1 minute ago. Blizzard announced master skins for Heroes of the Storm.
ah,
Ooh, so if you're a
Elaborate.
top player, you get special.
new
No, I think
nice.
you know they have these rewards like when you play 2 games, then 4 games, then you have first tint, then you have second tint, then you have tint for horse, and then you just get 3 million experience. I
Mhm.
think instead of getting 3 million experience, you're gonna get this master skin. And they just released the video for a few Warcraft heroes to show this off, and they look really cool.
Oh.
Oh,
I want the shinies.
Now,
We're
while
gonna
you're talking
handle it.
about shinies, I'm going to rustle up a little bit of gameplay in the background for people as well. So if I do
Okay.
this, Parvis, you are going to become the existential voice from the sky at this point. That probably gives you special powers. You'll have to decide what you actually want to do with them. But with a bit of luck, this will...
Chaos and destruction. I want abject suffering across the land.
There we go.
You'll have to watch World of Warcraft. Yeah, there you go. Now you're all suffering.
Now, a little bit of tweaking. Wasn't supposed to do that. We've timed out. We're going to zap back here for a moment. While I log back in.
Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. Well, while that's happening, I can start talking
Carry
a
on.
little bit about.
Oh my god, they're
Garrison.
gonna give Pudge a crown. Stitches is gonna get a crown.
He's gonna get a crown.
He's gonna get a crown.
King Stitches.
Oh. I was gonna talk about Garrisons, but okay, I'll watch
I
it later.
think the artists look.
You can talk about garrisons if you want.
Garrisons
Oh,
will
just
actually
really
be
quick.
good because when we switch back to gameplay, I'm actually literally at the first step of building a garrison on this alliance character that I've just taken through this non-jungle.
This is what you need to know and is exciting about garrisons. So, your garrison exists seamlessly in the world. You don't need to go to an instance portal to visit your home base. As you travel through Draenor, you'll see your garrison looming on the horizon. That's what they told us. This is different. Games like Lotro, you have to go into an instance, it's somewhere else. A game like WildStar, you have to go into your housing plot, it's instance, it's somewhere else. That's not the place here. It's the same sort of setup as Arcade, where your housing is out in the world. You find your spot, you claim it as yours, you don't pay your taxes, it goes away. Not quite sure how it's going to unfold for staying in the game, inactive accounts and things like that, but more information on that in the future. You get buildings, individual pieces of your garrison. So far, we've got some stables, farms, mines, armories, and things like that. From levels 90 to 100, you gain followers. What do you need to know about followers? You can gear them up. Gear levels is important. They gain character levels, and those have a significant impact on their abilities and mission success chance. Back to buildings. What do you need to know about them? They can be upgraded. Not only is the upgrade a visual thing, it changes the mechanical. Now, we're talking about building forward. It also increases the number of followers you can have on a mission. So, got a level 1 barracks, you got 5 guys, you upgrade it, and then maybe the next one's 7, and then your max upgrade, you get 12. Those are just some numbers I'm throwing out there, but you understand. More missions, more guys, build them up, put better gear on them. You can specialize your garrison buildings. You can choose a variant on the bonuses and abilities that the buildings provide. So the one that I wrote down here is mining specialization. Make your miners gather ore faster per hour, or you can increase the chance of them getting a critical strike on a mining node, which I think is just silly. Just because thinking of somebody running around with critical strike on their mining is just amazing to me. Several buildings
Someone
provide you
simply
with
better at mining.
you know what, like I'm going to be just magically luckier at finding better. I don't know. It's great. To me, it's great. Building can provide you access to professions that your character hasn't even mastered. The big part, it's kind of sad for those who like to do, crafting stuff. You won't have enough space to put down one for every profession. And the big part here is as you're building up your garrison, you can expect to interact with it quite a bit. I have not had a chance to really interact with one. Instead of it being a time sink, though, it's what I've been told and what we're hearing is that the interaction becomes more casual. At lower levels, your missions are on shorter time cycles, minutes, hours, and once your followers reach their maximum level or high levels, you send them on longer raid missions that can be up to, I've heard, like a week at a time. They wanted garrisons to be important and fun, but it's something, it's supposed to be there to enjoy and not being extremely intensive is kind of their goal. So there's a little wrap-up on garrisons. And there was I did have a whole bunch of other stuff depending on if people were still interested. You get your build quest at the operations base of operations on Draenor. You find blueprints and materials to expand and customize it, recruit followers, and you begin your quest at Shadowmoon Valley or Frostfire Ridge. That right there is your scoop
Light
of
be
the
with
old
you.
Blizzard forecast
Go with honor, friend.
all over garrisons. I'm not sure what we have in game right now, so.
I've literally just collected the blueprints to start doing stuff, and I've got to go and find
There's a turtle.
Barros's viewpoints. It's a great turtle. It's my turtle.
Well, he's okay.
Really?
There's nothing special though.
He's
I'd have
turtle-tastic.
a tiger if I were you. Go get a tiger.
I'm
Stop
gonna
what you're
dismiss
doing
the
now.
No, I'm going to keep my turtle here. I do have cat.
Shut down.
Now, what we should do probably is, I see a few people asking questions. Should we just do a few minutes of any random questions that come up? Preferably on Warlords of Draenor.
Oh, I have a question.
Go,
Well, it's not a
Path.
question. It's more like a diatribe. Is that okay?
Does it involve tentacles?
No, it doesn't.
Good,
But, so
carry on.
the garrison's going to have like random buffs essentially to like things like professions, right? So you're going to have like. I quite like that because my idea for a game was basically you get one character and you can only ever have one, and like it would just have like you might be a normal person, you might get spells, and you might get superpowers or whatever, and that'd be it. And that's kind of like what they're doing in WoW now. Like I like the idea of like you might be special, but you might not. You might get to be the superhero, but you don't get to choose. It gives it value.
Yeah.
It's kind of like finding loot with like random stats on it and stuff. Everything becomes unique. You have to work with what you've got, which makes the character much more personal.
Now that Diatribe Man is done, Thorn, Wyvern, how exactly does it work at having on an instance? It sounds like a map will eventually get crowded as big as WoW is. Pretty sure from what I'd heard is that they open up, or sections of it open up as garrisons get put down. How that actually unfolds in front of us, I have no idea. But I'm not really sure how they're going to end up doing things, like I said, like inactive accounts or things like that, because that's always the interesting part to me. When you play, especially when you play a game like Lotro and you go into a place where they didn't have a removal system, and you're like, wow, this guy hasn't logged on in 2 years, but he still has the best house in this whole flippin' area just because he's been here. Whereas in a game like Arcade, if you don't pay your in-game taxes, then it gets people just stand there and wait. They're like, oh, dude, I can't wait for this guys to go away. So, but I'm trying to see if there's any more tigers here. Any more tigers? I said tigers because of you, Arv. Any more questions?
There was a question in chat, and I'm just actually collecting the blueprints and I'm handing them in now to Baros, who is the garrison architect. But there was a good question talking about the transition into the start of the game. Maybe this is one for you, Trollman. I'm going to scroll up and find it. So there was...
I got it. You keep
Carry
playing.
on.
I have a thing to point out. In the end of MOP,
Good day to you.
Varian told Vol'jin that there would be peace. We stormed the Black Portal together as allies, but now all of a sudden we are at war again? Question mark?
Safe travels.
That's for you, Trollman.
Excuse me, I didn't hear anything. I was lagging. I didn't hear anything, so I just unlagged.
Carry on.
Okay. I'll ask you your question again. This is from Coolman
Yeah, okay,
499.
excuse me. Yeah, excuse
no.
me. Uh-huh.
Could you make
That's
this like
fine.
an episode of like Mastermind? Do I have to sit in the back and go dum da 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 dum?
I have a thing to point out. In the end of MOP, Varian told Vol'jin that there would be peace. We stormed the Black Portal together as allies. But now, all of a sudden, we're at war again?
I don't think we're at war actually, because I was completing quests in Tanan Jungle. We have to assault our portal, and you have 12 Cagdar and some Alliance dudes and Horde dudes all together fighting Iron Horde. So I think there is no war going on. So like there is still a conflict, but there is no war. So they have like this own territory, like Alliance has something on, Horde has something on, but there is no... I think the war is going on for the sake of PvP. Like, I wouldn't say that lore-wise something is happening.
That makes sense.
Okay, do we have any more for any more?
Don't believe so. I believe, folks, what you got to see here was we talked about some new high definition tentacles. We talked about Garrison, Stat Squish, and now we get to show you some in-game content.
In fact, what I should do, I should just go find a Draenor. Let's find these high definition tentacles.
Sounds dangerous, if you ask me.
That's a high definition dwarf, not high definition tentacles. I have to say, much improved.
Is there going to be a safer work version of it without tentacles?
That's a horse. Can we use that as the safer work version?
I was thinking they could just blur it, I guess, or something, but
I'm not quite sure these are entirely safe for work Draenei facial features. Having said that, I appear not to have a Draenei in my garrison in progress.
In before
Obviously.
Twitch ban.
Yep, exactly. Reported.
Oh. Hey, can you make any of the characters twerk in WoW?
I have no idea. I have never tried.
If there's a twerking dance move, would that get you banned from Twitch?
I wouldn't know, but I found a cat.
If it does you in the game, then I think you're okay, because they didn't ban people that were showing all the crazy stuff on that on the South Park game, and that was worse than tentacles, man.
Yeah.
I streamed some of that game up to a point, and I was like, I like having a sub button. I'm done playing this game now. On stream.
Okay.
Which game is that?
South Park? Stick to Truth?
South Park. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was streaming it.
I still think you can stream it though.
Oh, you can, but I was just way too wary about it, so.
Now, I have to say that I am now looking at our High Priest, Dinar, here.
Oh, there we go.
And I see nothing wrong with Dinar's facial features.
They're not very realistic. I mean...
They actually look a lot better in this, like, now that you actually see him wiggling around.
Non-static.
Yeah. Now that they're, like, on the face, they're attached. I think they're, those are good. Oh, yeah, dude, look at this. He just, like, was ticked off telling somebody off, man.
Yeah, no, the animations are great. It's one thing that just does not come across in a screenshot is how much better the visuals are with the engine and the poly changes. Big improvement.
And look at that shield. Look at that shield on the human female's back. That's HD. That's the best shield I've seen in the game.
It looks like... It must look like an Ocarina of Time kind of shield or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, again, we're going to point out that...
One pixel thick.
This is very... Well, we're at a certain point in a development cycle. We're nowhere near complete yet, so... We shall see what they do with it. But certainly there's a lot more potential. But I think I'm going to do another one of these awesome transitions just because I can. And bring it back to the four-way. Right, folks, we have covered a number of things, and it's probably time for us to do a disappearing act.
bye-bye!
Everyone agrees. Fine. Yes,
Hi,
so to the
guys.
channel. Yes, they do wiggle. Thank you very much for being here. Has been a pleasure. Time to say our various goodbyes. Parv, say something erudite, enlightening, fascinating that culminates in your goodbye.
Bye.
Trollman,
I don't know what erudite means.
your turn to try.
Bye, guys. May the tentacles be with you. Yeah.
Blank.
Hi, Tentacles.
That was their version of tentacles. Bye, guys. Happy tentacle. See you next week.
And indeed, happy tentacles, everyone. This is the end of this particular edition of MMO Buff. We are, of course, back tomorrow midday with the data mine. A whole load of stuff going on. Friday night is Cosmotronic. Saturday, we might have a top drawer sneaking out of the door. Monday, we are back with another MMO Buff. Tuesday is Campfire. And then Wednesday, you can find yourselves right here again. Same time, same channel, same place. And I'm sure that line has never ever been used before. Thank you, folks. Has been a pleasure. Happy tentacles, one and all.